that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, narrated by Disney or current Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends. Today I have for you Book 7 of the 9-book series Legacy of the Force, this one being Fury by Aaron Allston. The last book of this series to be written by Aaron Allston, and this is of course a picture of Ben Skywalker, which is pretty neat, even though he's not really a big part of this series. Let me get the negatives out of the way real quick. Alema is finished off in this book. That's a positive. The negative is that she was in this series for 7 books. This wasn't her story, and if there's one legitimate criticism that you could make against this series is Alema entire existence. She shouldn't have been here. And it fills up space and wastes time. And I'll be honest, this series did not need to be 9 books. But they waste time with Lemmirar and da-da-da-da. You would have a much more consistent pace if that was just cut out entirely. But it is what it is. But regardless, I can sit through 9 books far easier than I could sit through 19 books, especially when some of them are not particularly that incredible or waste my time. But that being said, probably my biggest gripe, my other gripe is, oh, Ben's on the cover, right? Ben is not the main character of this book. It jumps around everyone. Everybody gets their fair share. Of course, Wedge Antilles, Tycho Soko, Wedge's daughter, Fenrir, one of the, previous Imperial warlords or whatever. He's in here. You know, a lot of, X-Wing stuff because it's Aaron Allston. So he includes that in his stuff. Just everybody has their niche. His is including these other characters because he likes writing about them. And then you have Karen Traviss with her Mandos. And then you have Troy Denning, I guess, with Sabatine. I don't know. Troy Denning's pretty good at, equally giving screen time to everyone. But it's not about Ben. It's been about Ben for, the first 5 books. First 6 books, even. But now we're really flipping into gear. Because really this whole Lemmirar plot should have never been a thing. What we should have been focusing on from the very beginning was Jason, Luke, Mara, Ben, and Jaina primarily. That should have been the focus. Now Jaina is becoming more the focus because the last 2 books will require it. So I do see that as a legitimate issue. I want to get my issues out of the way real quick first because I overall really like this book. I don't think there's much wrong with it. This book, what can I say non-spoilers? I mean, we're 7 books in, so stuff's happened. But Jason, at this point, we're on the final stretch of the trilogy, so most of the nuance is gone, except that there still is nuance even here. And you notice it subtly, too, if you pay attention to the text. Darth Kaitis is now Darth Kaitis. Jason is almost extinguished. But he takes a plan to get the Hapens back on his good side by kidnapping his very own daughter, Alana Solo. And that is kind of the plot point of this. Luke's still dealing with grief in his own way with Mara. They're trying to figure everything out that they need to do. They need to stop Jason. And they need to get back Alana Solo. And some other stuff is going on. But that's the gist. And then Han, Leia, Zek, Jaina, Jagfell are all trying to finally end Lemmirar. And that kind of is the gist of this plot. But it's pretty good. Again, it's sad to say here, but I genuinely feel out of this entire 9-book series that Aaron Allston writes the weakest of all of them. Which is crazy, because Aaron Allston's usually always the king, right? Aaron Allston's phenomenal. And I think I think a part of it is to do with behind the scenes. I think people try to make it be like, oh, Aaron Allston is just this tragic figure that was forced to work on this project. Da, 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 da. No, he chose to do it. He wanted money. He chose this. I'm sorry. Now, certain decisions were made that maybe he wasn't like the best fan of, like Mara, where everybody still agreed to it. But, there might have been like, I don't really feel this as much now that you've done that. I don't know. I'm speculating because I don't know. But it feels like his heart's not in it as much, so it comes off kind of boring in sections. Whereas I know in Fate of the Jedi he's a bit more enthusiastic because he can kind of forget about the other stuff. But, speaking of which, before we get into spoilers or anything, I know on Discord it was somewhere. I won't say who or what, but I know this was a conversation had at one point, and I just want to dispel the notion because clearly this person is just talking out of their butt and is just wrong. But the claim was that for all of Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi, yada yada yada, that after New Jedi Order, the oversight of Lucasfilm just disappeared. And Troy Denning was allowed to just write whatever he wanted with the help of other people and just completely ignore the New Jedi Order, and that there was no people watching over for continuity issues or anything like that. It was all peachy. Just do whatever you want. There was no overture or watching of what was being done. That was kind of the claim. I'm kind of like exaggerating, but that was essentially the claim. Like Sue Restoni, all those people that were originally there back during the heyday of the EU, the New Jedi Order and stuff, weren't here to pay attention to this stuff going on and the bastardization of the expanding universe. But what I've been reading for 7 books now, and I failed to mention, but I decided why not mention it here, is the acknowledgement section. Thanks goes to Karen Travis, Troy Denning, my partners in crime, Shelley Shapiro, Sue Restoni, and Leland Shee for making things work right. Damn, sure sounds like Shelley Shapiro and Sue Restoni had something to do with this series. Don't know where people are getting their ideas that they didn't. So maybe check your facts again. But there's your proof if you don't believe me. It's fun to be right. Anyway, I'm trying to think of whatever I can tell you without spoilers. But that is the main gist of that. But my biggest issue is that with this entire series is that Jaina has not been the focus, and she's only becoming the focus in this last little book. And she kind of hints at the fact that she needs to get some training because she's determined to be the one to defeat Jason by the end of this series. But she needs to get training because Jason got his special training 5 years, away from his family. He learned things that nobody else knows, and plus he's using the dark side, so he's got that power boost that the dark side always gives you. So right now, if he was just a Jedi as he was before, they're pretty evenly matched. But now that he's gone on his 5-year sojourn, and she doesn't know that he's a Sith yet, but she knows that she's not matched for him, so she needs to learn things that even he doesn't know, so she stands somewhat of a chance. So this is going to lead into Karen Travis' book, Revelations, book 8. But, yeah, what they did with the Lemurrar was pretty decent. I enjoyed her portrayal. I enjoyed the struggles and the craziness that she was going through, and how her death was more of a mercy kill than even like out of revenge or anger. Like, this lady's just gone. She needs to be put down, But I just don't like her being in the series. There's so much going on in the series already. Like, why are we shoving her in here? But at the very least, Aaron Allston concluded that story, so we don't have to worry about Lemurrar for the last 2 novels. But overall, I do think this book is worth your time. This is the last book that Aaron Allston will write for this particular series. He'll come back to join us for Fate of the Jedi, but this is the last book he's going to write for Legacy of the Force. We only have 2 books left, and that will be by Karen Travis and Troy Denning to end it all off. So, overall, I think this is worth your time. I love Aaron Allston. By all means, when I say that his is the weakest of the trilogy, I feel personally, that does not mean that I feel that these books are weak in terms of writing. I still think Aaron Allston always gives 110% with his writing, and he's always superb. It's just that out of the 3 authors, I do feel like in this particular series, he's the weakest of the bunch. Overall, though, stamp of approval for me. Enjoyed Fury. I'm getting to spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, time to bail. And those for you who know or just don't care, join me. So, Jason's emotional understanding and hatred. I love this because, like, he's gotten to a point, like, he can still understand. He understands, you know, other people's plights, or like some guy on a ship, you know, lost a son or something in a battle, and he understands that intellectually, but he can't empathize with him anymore because he's really selfish. Another thing too is that in this book he's like, you know, damn, after book 6, like, and after book 5, like, everybody truly hates me now. And he was preparing for that. For the past 6 books, he's preparing for literally everyone he loves to hate him. He knew that that was going to be a sacrifice he had to make in order to be a Sith, in order to make the world a better place. But intellectually knowing that you have to deal with that, and actually feeling everyone despise you, is a different thing. He understands that that's what has to happen, but it hurts him because the heart is different from the brain, and the heart was not ready for all that. But at the same time, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy of evil and hatred and dark side stuff with Jason. Because, yeah, he knew this was going to happen if he went down this path. He knew that he would upset people, but he did it anyway. But then he actually felt the remorse and he felt the pain of people that he used to care about not caring about him anymore. And feeling that hatred that people have for him hurts. And what's that hurt do? It makes him sad. Makes him depressed with himself, but he's still sticking through it, and his family still hates him now because they've given him all these chances and he still hasn't gone back. But then that turns from that into anger. Fine. They don't want me. I don't need them. Whatever. But the one thing that he still has is Alana Solo, his daughter, his blood, his flesh. At least that person loves me, not no matter what, but this person is the only person left, because in the last book, my lover, the one that I put my complete faith and trust in, also betrayed me. So I have no one now except for Tino Ka, or except for Alana Solo, and I will do everything in my power to protect her. But again, it's also like, in between all that, it's turning into the Anakin Skywalker thing of, you know, there's love, but then there's also possession. You know, it's more of, well, she makes me feel good because she still likes me more than I mean, he does genuinely have love for his daughter. It's the natural instinct of every parent. But it is definitely more of a controlling, possessive thing at this point, which even he doesn't realize. Because again, you're right. If you think Jason in book 7 of this series isn't Jason from Unifying Force, congratulations. It's called character development. You get a Nobel Prize. Yeah, at this point, he is a villain. The only thing slightly redeeming him right now is his love for his daughter. But at this point, like, most of the book calls him Darth Caedus. But there's a funny thing at the end where, you know, the heroes, they rescue Alana. She's going to go back to her mom. And Jason realizes that he lost his daughter. And what the whole book, most of the book is calling him Caedus, whatever you want to call him. Caedus. But when he's, like, on the floor, on his knees, like, choking up because he lost his daughter, the only person who's been kind to him since all this is his Jason in the lines, not Caedus. That's a little nuance right there. And then, you know, at the end of this book, and I'll just say this now because, you know, he literally, one of his officers does something very logical. You know, all the procedures were cleared, everything, you know, the protocol was put in, but the Jedi still duped this one officer. But, like, she did everything that she was supposed to do. You know, she didn't do anything wrong. She did everything a normal human with no force potential could possibly do. She checked all the procedures. She, you know, checked all the available things she could do to make sure this wasn't a fraud. It turned out to be a fraud still, but she did her best. But Jason's upset. He's very angry now. He just lost his daughter to them. So he gets extremely pissed off, does not use his critical thinking skills because he's upset. And the dark side is controlling him. Because that's what the dark side does, because you people are stupid and don't understand that. And so he chokes her out and kills her. Would Jason Unifying Force have done that? No. But he's been on this path for 7 books, and he's turning bad. The dark side is corrupting him because the dark side does corrupt. That is the point. So thank you for being able to read and use your big brain noggin to figure that out. Yes, you're right. Jason's not the same character. That is the entire point of this arc. Congratulations, you now have critical thinking skills. Anyway, I just had to get that away because I knew there'd be something like, oh, you choked somebody out. Like, yeah, he's a bad guy now. Cadis kidnaps Alana. I mentioned that in non-spoiler. I also want to mention this just because I didn't even think about it. So, Valen Horn is in his late 20s in this series, which you tend to forget how old these characters are supposed to be. I mean, this is 40 years after episode 4. Valen Horn was a teenager during, like a younger kid, not even a teenager, because Jason and Jaina and all them, and Anakin even, were all older than him. They were all teenagers turning into adults in that series. Valen was younger. Valen in this series is in his late 20s. So that means he's 25 to 29 here, somewhere in that range. Or, no, 26 to 29, sorry. But that's crazy. Just, like, you realize the span of time that we've had it in this universe, Valen is now in his late 20s. It's crazy. One thing I also hate is just that we don't really get anything with Valen Horn. And I if the EU ever gets continued, let Stackpole write some stuff. It could be in the 5-year gap after New Jedi Order. It doesn't have to interact with any of this stuff. But, like, give us some Valen stories. Or give us Valen stories before Fate of the Jedi, so I actually care when stuff happens in that series. Or give him a series afterwards. I don't care. Make Valen Horn something. Because all these characters are getting old. Like, Corrin's getting old. Luke's old. Like, Corrin's supposed to be, like, around the same age as Luke. So, like, let's give this fresh blood, what's left of them, some room to breathe if we get it back. Alright. For those of you who think I never critique anything, this is a big no-no. And this is a big issue that I have with the book, because I am consistent. Now, I have not watched Kenobi. Okay? I have not watched it. I've seen clips. I've seen things. I've seen what people have complained about. Reva survives. She's somebody from Kenobi. This is a canon thing. She survives a lightsaber to the chest. That is an issue, because Qui-Gon didn't. And I am fair. If it is a problem in canon, it is a problem here too. And basically, Kyle Katarn goes and fights Jason, or Darth Caedus, and he loses the fight. And Caedus puts his blade into Kyle Katarn's chest, but he somehow survives. That is stupid. It is blatantly stupid. They just didn't kill him off because they didn't want to kill off a popular video game character. But you know what? That actually would have provided some stakes and been kind of cool. Like, oh, you guys want to know what happened to your favorite video game character? Go read this novel. Like, that'd be sick. But that's not what happened, because they didn't want to. They didn't have the balls to kill off Kyle Katarn. So they just, if you're gonna not kill him off, then don't give him a fatal injury like that. Like, that was some BS. That was stupid. It was wrong, and it's a big issue with this book that happened. So you have an issue with me there. The other issue that people have with this book that's not that, which you would think would actually be more legitimate criticism, is that they place a tracker on him. But literally, like, when Kip brings up this whole mission with Kyle Katarn and everything to Luke, he's like, I mean, yeah, we're going to go with the intention of killing him, but, we're also going to try to plant it on him, So, basically, we're going in there to kill him, but assuming we don't, there'll be a tracker on him that we can follow. Now, a tracker's not the Force, it's just technology, so why would he necessarily sense it? But also, if their intent is to kill him, then that's all he's gonna sense. He's not gonna sense any ulterior motives, But I don't mind he has a little chip on him, that we're like, it's so silly. It's so silly that Jason would allow some sort of tracker on him. It's Star Wars. What are you talking about? This is the same series where Ewoks go on little adventures on Endor. This is the same series where Ewoks exist, period. This is the same series where that stupid freaking alien with the little big giant freaking lips thing singing a song in Jabba's palace. Shut up. Like, yeah, we want to take stories seriously, but having a tracker planet on his cape or whatever is not the most silly thing that the EU's ever done. Stop nitpicking. Stop it. It's okay. What else? And again, this is another further case of dissent. When Jason got the Star Destroyer, he, this was some form of kindness in his mind to name it after his dead brother that he loves, Anakin Solo. So he names it the Anakin Solo. As he's descending further into darkness, he's beginning to resent Anakin because he's this since book 6 he's been trying to corrupt Tahiri Vela into becoming his apprentice. So he keeps, flow walking her back to the time of Anakin's death. And she keeps wanting to stay a little bit longer. Can you just let me stay a little bit longer? Can you let me kiss him again? Or can you just let me stay here a little bit longer? Being needy about it. And, he feels like it's going too slow with his progress of her going to the dark side. And he's beginning to despise Anakin. Right? This is the same guy who, finished the Merker mission for Anakin. Visioned Anakin in Traitor. Found a peaceful solution to the Vong, except for Omni, who he just straight up murdered. And then, he always had reverence and he missed his brother. But now he's starting to resent him. And that's not a contradiction. That is his devolvement into a villain. Another big thing about this book. Oh, hold on. I'll be back. I got a phone call. Don't mind that. I don't know what I was flushed. Oh, right. Lando's having a baby. And he's like 60. And Tendra's like maybe 50. So Chance Calrissian, which we get nothing with because the EU hasn't been continued. But we are getting it. I mean, they didn't have a name for him yet, but he's going to be Chance Calrissian. And yeah, Lando's having a kid after all these years. But good for him. Something positive there. When Kaitis, his mother comes aboard to distract him at one point. And they're talking and debating. And Kaitis' views have a very amoral logic. Like, literally everything that Jason or Kaitis talks about in that section is technically right. From a very legalistic standpoint. Like, forget morality for a second, just think like, what does the law say? And I'll stand by the law exactly. Jason makes good logical points. He's logically consistent. But he's not putting morality into the factor of that all. But it was a very interesting dynamic to actually hear him kind of put that out there. Because this is where his mindset's at right now. Like, yeah, well, you're my mom, but you are literally betraying the Alliance right now. Like, you are doing wrong. You are doing something illegal. And then they did the same thing. We tried to make an analogy to the rebellion and the Empire. And she mentions the Vong. And he says that's not the same. The Vong were invading us, the legitimate government and everything. And, actually, if anything, you're like the Vong mom, because your rebellion, there was the established government that was voted, and this is all true. Of course, there's manipulation and sabotage and all this. We know this because of the prequels. But, yeah, technically speaking, Palpatine didn't just seize power by just taking it. Everything he gained, people gave him freely. That's what's so brilliant about Palpatine's manipulation. He didn't have to strong-arm anyone. He didn't have to pull a Exar Kun and walk in there and just kill his master and take over or any of that. He just let the people do it for him. But, on a purely technical level, yes. The Empire was established legitimately. Legally. And in that light, the rebellion, they're terrorists. Messing with the established government. That is what's happening. Of course, bring in morality. And, the Empire's dealing with slavery and all this other stuff. Like, yeah. It's wrong. It should be dismantled. But, on a purely legalistic viewpoint, amoral, free of any beliefs in higher order or a higher belief, like just what are the facts, what are the laws, the rebellion is wrong. it was just a very interesting discussion, because obviously Jason would have had this mindset of unifying force, but after stooping in the dark side for 7 books, this isn't a conclusion he's come to, which is just really interesting to me personally. And of course, I'm not giving as much nuance or explaining it as well as the book itself would have gone with it, but. So, Corellians have Centerpoint Station again, and they fired it on some of Kaitis' crew, so Kaitis is determined to take it for himself and destroy everyone with it. And Alana won't trust Jason or Kaitis after he's kidnapped her, because her mother has this whole like code that everybody who's with her is supposed to say, so she can know they can be trusted. Of course, Jason isn't going to know this, but he decides, you know what, if she's going to be cooperative, if she's going to be okay with me, I got to tell her the truth. So he just tells her flat out that I'm your dad, I'm your father, kind of like, episode 5. But the difference is Alana doesn't really go, no, it's not true. He goes like, would I lie to you? You'd be able to tell if I was. You know I'm right. I love you. That's why you can't hate me. And that's when Jason comes back out. But, so now Alana knows that Jason is her father. And then Alema finally, truly, and utterly dies, and Jagfell is the one to destroy her, which is pretty cool. But, yeah. Centerpoint Station gets destroyed, so the Corellians can't use it, neither can the Galactic Alliance, so nobody wins there. But this also has huge, major implications for a future series down the line. Let's just say in the ancient past that Centerpoint Station was not just a weapon or something to just keep the 5 worlds of Corellia in place. It had a much bigger purpose. And by destroying it utterly and completely, they've relinquished its purpose and allow other things to happen. The one Sith are in this book, and they're secretly helping the Jedi because it messes with their plans with what the Lama's doing, so they help with that, I guess. But it's just kind of a teaser for the Legacy comics. Ben talks to Luke about moving on, and that was a really, really good scene. Lana is rescued, and I said dark side corrupts, but I already explained that with the whole choking his lieutenant thing. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed Fury. There's less Jason here, and it's more spread around with like everybody getting equal amounts of screen time. But I feel like Ben kind of got shafted, and he will get shafted for the next 2 books too, because it's going to really become the Jason Jaina story, which kind of appropriate because they were the stars of Young Jedi Knights, and Ben didn't even exist. He wasn't even really a character till Dark Nest, but still, I would have liked more, and we do get more Ben when we get into Fate of Jedi and other things, but I just wish it was so much about Ben and just kind of stops being about Ben in this book, which is kind of sad. But, there's still some good things to see, some exciting things to get through, some controversial things that I'm sure people are going to bring up about why this series is bad, especially in the next book. There's some things that are not the best that we will talk about, and some really good things, though. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you all, and may the Force be with you. Stay safe out there. Till next time.